Alright people, welcome back to the PWC channel. Once again, this is Tranel speaking, and today I'm bringing you a new segment. I don't know if it's going to be a regular segment, but it's definitely a new thing for now. Uh, it's called the Autopsy of the Week, where I'm going to be analyzing a replay of one match that I chose to see how the match went, how it could have maybe went differently, what each coach could have done to get a different result maybe or not. So, as you can see, for this week, I chose the Week 7 match of Seniors League between Keto and No Idea coaching Bigonthot Cricketot. The reason I chose this match is because after the match, I talked to Keto, and Keto was so mad at himself because he thought he could have played so much better, and he could have easily won this match if he just had played things the right way. And yeah, so this is the reason I'm doing this. I'm gonna have a look at it, see what I think about it, what he maybe could have done differently, or yeah, or maybe if things were just the way they were and there was nothing he could do about it. So, yep, as you can see, the matchup is the following. Keto brings his signature mon in Empoleon, then he brings Tsarina, Blastoise, Gliscor, Sylveon, and Zapdos Galar. Meanwhile, No Idea has his personal signature, which is Arcanine. Then he's got Mega Medicham, Zygarde, Raikou, Florges, and Fortress. Alright, so looking at the matchup, there's one thing on No Idea's team that really stands out as completely wrecking Keto's team, and that's Mega Medicham. If you look at it, there's really no switching on Keto's team at all for that thing. I mean, obviously Empoleon gets wrecked by a fighting move. Everything that's not resisting fighting will get probably one-hit KO'd, so that's Tsarina, Blastoise, and Empoleon. And the things that do resist the fighting moves, which are Gliscor, Sylveon, and Zapdos. I mean, Sylveon and Zapdos definitely get one respectively run one or two hit KO'd by Zen Headbutt respectively, and Gliscor obviously gets one-shotted by an Ice Punch, which most Medichamps carry. And yeah, apart from that, Mega Medicham is in theory faster or as fast as everything on Keto's team. So the only thing that speed ties in theory would be the Zapdos Galar. Um, so Mega Medicham would be faster than the rest of his team, barring a possible choice Scarfer. But even then, look at the team. What would be a choice Scarf? Maybe Tsarina. Maybe, I mean, Keto has run Scarf Sylveon before, so wouldn't be unheard of. Or even, Zapdos Galar could obviously be Scarf and knock out a Medicham with a flying move. But yeah, just overall, Medicham can get hits off against Tsarina, against Empoleon, against Blastoise, against Gliscor. So it's gonna be a huge threat for sure. Apart from that, there are other things like, for example, Raikou. I mean, the fact that Raikou does get scalded means that Gliscor doesn't really love switching into it. And there are three electric weak Pokemon on Keto's team. So Empoleon, Blastoise, and Zapdos all get screwed by electric attacks. So, I mean, even though he's got some ways to check it, as I said, Gliscor is at least immune to the electric type move. Sylveon is insanely bulky on the special side, and Tsarina is obviously also resistant to the electric type attacks. So yeah, in theory he has some checks to it, but obviously as the game progresses, that can definitely change. So that's one other thing. And on Keto's side of the field, it's not that obvious what his win con will be, just because I mean, in theory, you have Arcanine checking, possibly checking Zapdos, Galar, and Sarina, and also probably Sylveon. Also, he's got Florges, which would probably check all of his special attackers. I mean, maybe Empoleon can break through it with Steel type attack, but you would expect Florges to somewhat wall a Blastoise and Sylveon at the very least. So yep, that's my thoughts to the matchup, so let's go straight into the match. Sorry, I should have. Alright, so turn one, we see the lead off, Keto leads off with Gliscor. Meanwhile, No Idea starts with his Mega Medicham, as he likes to do. And yeah, let's see what happens. We see a fake out. And this right here, oh, this is stupid. This right here is really interesting. So we see straight off the bat that after the fake out, Gliscor does not carry the toxic orb, and that's something that really has to make you stop for a second and think about what you're doing, because obviously you know already that it's not a normal Gliscor set. Every Gliscor runs toxic orb. I mean, there's almost no exception to that. So this must be a very special Gliscor set. But yeah, as we can see, turn 2. I think the fake out is a decent play, just because you obviously you can check for the toxic orb, as he could see that he doesn't carry it. And yeah, I mean, if Keto switches, there is not really anything too much lost in that turn. So yeah, that's interesting. And turn 2, Prof is revealing that he's indeed packing the Ice Punch, which is something that you would definitely expect. And yeah, I mean, looking at the team, Keto does really get wrecked by this Mega Medicham. So there's nothing he can switch in. A high jump kick, the only thing that switches in is a Sylveon, but Sylveon isn't that physically bulky, so it's always gonna get knocked out by a secondary move afterwards, I think. So obviously no idea wouldn't click high jump kick in the face of a Sylveon, just because of he's probably gonna be afraid of protect. But but nothing that wants to take a high jump kick. And yeah, so now No Idea is revealing the Ice Punch, and there you can already see Ugly Face ate the Yachi Berry. So this is an insanely cool move by Keto, as you can see here. He is running a Lure Gliscor specifically to catch the Mega Medicham off guard. Was really good prep and worked to absolute perfection. So he's confused. He just read No Idea's soul there. You know, he likes to lead off with Mega Medicham. He likes to click fake out, obviously, which in this case didn't matter. He's always, most of the time, gonna pack Ice Punch, so he knew that, and yeah, he just packed the Yachi Berry to live the hit, and then obviously he would lose his berry, and Acrobatics would be at full power, and he has enough power to knock out the Medicham. So this was one of the coolest instances of exotic prep really working out to perfection. So this turn 1 means that No Idea's biggest threat to Keto's team is gone straight off the bat. And yeah, that's an insanely cool start for Keto, and definitely one thing that really was probably a lot of fun for him. Alright, so No Idea seizes this opportunity, which he's gotten, so he knows now that the Gliscor doesn't have any passive recovery with the Toxic Orb, so that's obviously the price that Keto pays now. So he did get rid of the Mega Medicham, which is a huge plus for him, for sure. But on the other hand, the other big threat on No Idea's team is the Raikou, and Raikou just became an even bigger threat because he can't switch the Gliscor in on an electric type move, because probably No Idea is gonna carry the Scald, and at this range it's always gonna be faster than the Gliscor, and at this range Raikou will always be able to knock out the Gliscor. So knowing that, Keto makes probably the right move, just sacking his Gliscor. I don't know if it was the right move, but I guess so, because yeah, he wouldn't have really have gotten any value out of it anymore, I don't think. And yeah, so now we have this situation that obviously No Idea has lost his biggest threat in Mega Medicham, but Raikou is now in this position that he absolutely loves. So he doesn't have an electric immunity anymore, and he can just, if he is carrying the Volt Switch, which as we will see later he does, he is able to Volt Switch around on his entire team now. So yeah, I think this was a cool set of events, but it was more of a trade-off for Keto than actually, you know, getting a clear lead or anything, right? So now the Serena is in, which is probably Keto's best answer to the Raikou at this point. And No Idea is switching out to Fortress, which is definitely a switch that makes a lot of sense because I don't think there's anything Serena can do to really hurt a Fortress. And he reveals the Rocky Helmet, which is very annoying for Keto. So you know straight off the bat that Zapdos, Galar, and Serena are always going to take this annoying Rocky Helmet damage because Fortress can switch into those two very well. And yeah, they are always going to take this passive damage. And at this point, I think his physical attackers, Serena and Zapdos, are really not that useful anymore because when you look at No Idea's side of the field, he does carry Fortress with him and Arcanine, which is typically an Intimidate user and physically bulky. So they, both of them, really wall these two physical attackers very well. So the hope must lie on his special attackers, Sylveon, Blastoise, and Empoleon to get the job done, I think. And obviously he has the Florges for those, but he would need to find a way to break the Florges, which, to be honest, doesn't seem to me very obvious how he's going to do that. He would have to carry a strong Steel-type move on the Empoleon, or set up on it maybe with Blastoise and then hope to 2-hit KO it, beat it down, and sack his Blastoise in the process, which was probably what would happen. Yeah, but obviously this must be the Keto's goal now, because on the physical side, I don't think at this point he's gonna break No Idea's team. If you look at these defense, because obviously Fortress doesn't have recovery, but there's still the Arcanine looming in the back, and it does have recovery first of all, and it wards both these physical attackers very nicely. So yeah, Keto needs to find a way to weaken the Florges, I think. And meanwhile, No Idea, looking at it, now that the Gliscor is gone, Gliscor being gone is really good for No Idea overall, because it obviously, we don't know the Zygarde set yet, but it at least opens the door for Zygarde. He would need to weaken the Serena a little more, because obviously Serena resists the 1,000 arrows, but after after Serena is gone or weakened, he really doesn't have a good answer to Zygarde anymore. So you can already see this early, after only 4 turns, that Keto did make this really good trade-off, getting rid of the Mega Medicham, but the matchup still seems to be heavily in No Idea's favor. So yeah, I don't see an obvious win con on Keto's part, but we still need to figure out the sets and stuff. So yeah, at this point, let's see what Keto brings into the Fortress. Alright, so Keto brings in Sylveon, which Sylveon, obviously bringing it into a Fortress, rings another bell probably for No Idea. So he must assume that because this is unusual. If you are a normal Sylveon set that just runs Hyper Voice, Wish Protect, and I don't know, maybe Heal Bell, Baton Pass, Toxic, something like that, you wouldn't bring it in on a Fortress because you can eat a Gyro Ball. You can't really do that much damage to it. Obviously, a Fortress doesn't like to take special hits, regardless of whether it resists them or not. But yeah, you wouldn't bring it in like that. So the immediate suspicion is to assume that this might be a spec set, or at least run Mystical Fire. So looking at that, No Idea really has 2 options. I think 2 good plays in my opinion. The first one would be switching into Florges and just resist the hit with raw special bulk. And the second option would be switching into Arcanine, just because Arcanine is a fairy resist, and obviously it would also resist a fire move, which you would likely predict here because he's not gonna click Toxic. The only thing he is gonna click in this case is the fire move, so he could switch either into Florges or Arcanine, and he chooses in this case to go into Arcanine. And this is really interesting. So this is another. So Keto was really crafty in this match. So he really thought about No Idea's team and dug deep to find ways to catch him off guard and get an early advantage. And he reveals that he is a physical Sylveon with Iron Tail. So that's really interesting. I've never seen that. I did actually calc, and you have to assume that this he's gonna run it banded. And a banded Iron Tail it does in fact 2-hit KO a Florges, regardless of what the spread of the Florges would be. So this is really unfortunate for him that No Idea chose to switch into the Arcanine here, which, as I said, is definitely one possibility for him. And I mean, he did miss the Iron Tail regardless, but obviously against an Arcanine, it wouldn't have done that much damage. So yeah, interesting, very interesting for Keto. Another really heat set that in this case didn't pay off. But what we also can see here is Arcanine did not intimidate the Sylveon, so we know that Arcanine is indeed a Flash Fire move. So that's probably the reason No Idea chose to bring it into the Sylveon. He was hoping to get a Flash Fire boost from this thing, and yeah, so that's what happens. Yeah, so at this point, Keto decides to switch the Empoleon into the Arcanine, while No Idea just teleports out. So that's very smart on No Idea's part, in my opinion. He knew that the Sylveon would likely be banded. Couldn't do that much damage to Arcanine, so the only thing that really made sense for Keto would be to switch out. And obviously, looking at the team, he wouldn't switch out into Serena. He would switch out likely into one of his water types, and that would mean that we get to enter this little carousel right here with the Raikou that Keto has allowed the door to open first turn. So Raikou is always faster than these water types, and it can just volt switch around. So Keto can only decide to stay in and take a lot of damage with his Empoleon, or stay out and give No Idea the momentum again. So this is a really nice position for No Idea, and really not much Keto can do about it, honestly. Yeah, this is just how the architecture of this matchup is built at this point of the match. So yeah, Keto decides to actually switch out into the Sarina, and we see that Sarina takes 21%, which is actually a lot of damage. So this makes me think that either the Raikou is specs or this is an offensive Sarina. So yeah, as you can see, this is already racking up heavily the damage on the Sarina. I think that every time the Volt Switch comes, the only thing he really can switch in, now that we know that this is a banded Sylveon likely, or at least an offensive one, the only thing he can switch in is the Serena, and it will take, as we just saw, 20% each time, and No Idea gets the momentum, can now bring in the Arcanine or the Fortress again, which would mean Serena has to switch out or take at least another instance of passive damage, and now No Idea could also choose to maybe go into Fortress and set up rocks. So yeah, at this point it really seems like No Idea is holding all the advantages. Obviously it's still 5-5, but you can already see that the architecture, how this match is built, is shifting heavily in No Idea's favor. So yeah, that's what he does. He switches into the Fortress, and now yeah, Keto basically has to switch out. Or if he stays in, he's gonna take. No Idea doesn't even have to attack it. He can just let it kill itself with the Rocky Helmet damage if it stays in. So I think No Idea now has the choice. If he has the Volt Switch on Fortress, he could choose to click that to keep up momentum, or he could set up some sort of hazard right here. Oh, and Keto decides to U-turn out, which in my opinion definitely wasn't the play. I don't think No Idea was gonna hard switch there. And now he's gonna take another unnecessary, I don't know what it is, like 13% or something from the Rocky Helmet. 16% actually. Alright, and No Idea decides to to put up stealth rocks. Alright, so obviously would No Idea have volt switched here, that would have been insane for him, because then he could have gone straight back into Raikou and repeat the process probably, and get a little bit of nice damage on the Blastoise. Now this means, of course, No Idea has got the stealth rocks up, which is another annoyance for Keto. But on the other hand, should this be a Shell Smash Blastoise, Keto now has the opportunity to set up with it. He can set up the Shell Smash and maybe get a little bit of momentum for the first time since turn 1, to be honest, and maybe weaken the Florges a little bit. Alright, at this point we know that the Florges doesn't really seem to be that important for No Idea, apart from dealing with this Blastoise, because Empoleon doesn't look like the biggest threat in the world, seeing as No Idea has the Raikou as well as the Zygarde, which is likely faster and super effective on the Empoleon. And yeah, this Blastoise really remains as the only huge threat I can see. Really, yeah. Alright, so we see that he does indeed pack the Shell Smash, and No Idea chooses to Volt Switch out, which is honestly a little ballsy, because he could have eaten a lot of damage this turn. It was unlikely, but it could have happened. And yeah, but still he had the Arcanine as a backup checks to all the physical stuff. Yeah, I think this was a decent play on No Idea's part. Now he already weakened the Blastoise a little bit, and he can likely bring in the Florges here, I think, which he does. And yeah, now Keto reveals another very surprising set. He reveals that he is mixed at the very minimum, if not full physical Blastoise, which with Shell Smash, which is unusual, but obviously it is another type of topsy-turvy type set, which just is supposed to lure in a special wall when he's a physical attacker, and yeah, this did just that in this case. Means that he gets to knock out the Florges here, I think. But Florges, before that happens, gets to Toxic him, so he knows he's on a timer. And after this happens, this was definitely very cool, and another set of Ketos that did in fact work out. But now, yeah, what is No Idea gonna do here? He has, I think personally, he has two options. So seeing as this Blastoise is likely physical, you would suspect that Zygarde is able to live a hit from it, and coupled with the toxic damage and the defense drop, it will be able to knock it out with one hit. So it would only have to take one hit. Obviously, should the Blastoise pack the Ice Beam, it could one-hit KO the Zygarde and continue to get at least one more hit off, if not make enough progress to win him the game. So this is, honestly, this is where the game is, in my opinion, it's Keto's chance right here. So depending on what No Idea does here. If he's purely physical, he can probably bring in the Fortress and have enough raw bulk to withstand the attack, and maybe, yeah, I think maybe he can even knock it out now with the Volt Switch coupled with the toxic damage, which, seeing as the Volt Switch did 32% first time, seems likely, honestly. Yeah, that would mean to me that he would do something like 45% now. Yeah, seems close. Oh yeah, yeah, that would be enough coupled with the toxic. Okay, so that's what he actually does, and Keto reveals that he does indeed only pack the physical moves. So yeah, as you can see, it took 26%, which is just very little. So, and I think No Idea is probably gonna Volt Switch here. So this was another, it was a surprise. What Keto did was a surprise, but it doesn't turn out to be that effective still. So he got rid of the Florges, but he didn't really open any doors with that, you know. Now the Florges is gone, but all the physical stuff, which the rest of his team is physical attacking, the physical defense of No Idea is still intact. So it was a lure that didn't really open any doors for the rest of the team in this case. So I think had he been a mixed set here, he could have probably maybe even one-shotted. Probably, I would suspect that a +2 serve would one-hit KO a fully physically defensive fortress from 80%. So I think this is honestly where things start to look, or the momentum that Keto built with this Blastoise is just lost, honestly. Yeah, so now he took 33%, but coupled with the Toxic, it's gonna be enough to knock out the Blastoise. So yeah, it's 4-4 now, but then again, here this Serena is gonna take Staff Rock damage now, meaning that it's gonna be at 35%. So it can't really come in on the Raikou anymore. He still has both Arcanine and Fortress to deal with Serena at the very least, which isn't a threat at all to this team. It's not really a threat. It's not a threat at all to Arcanine. It's not a threat to Fortress. It's a decent check maybe to the Raikou. I don't even know if it would beat it at this point, but maybe. And yeah, it's probably not even a check to the Zygarde at this point. So yeah, not looking too nice, because Zapdos, yeah, maybe Zapdos at this point is the, or even Empoleon, but obviously he still has Raikou at full health. Sylveon, seeing as it's physical, is absolutely useless. You know, it's he built his team so heavily, Keto did, to lure a Florges, and he doesn't really benefit that much from Florges being gone. This is really weird to me. It's just seems like he planned to surprise and catch No Idea off guard just to catch him off guard. I don't really see what the doors are that get to open. Maybe he thought Florges would be a very good check to Zapdos, which, yeah, I guess. I mean, at least it's a fighting resist, you know. Yeah, I think, but it's not really that convincing, seeing as No Idea has Arcanine as a signature mon, so you'd always expect that to at least check the Zapdos somewhat. Right, No Idea goes straight back into Fortress. Yeah, Serena takes another instance of Rocky Helmet. Yeah, and is now pretty much, it can't switch into Volt Switch anymore. It's gonna come back in at 6%, so yeah, it's basically dead. We haven't really seen what kind of item it's carrying. At this point, you might suspect that he could even be Scarf set. He's only clicked U-turn so far. And yeah, now we're gonna see something new from him, I think, because both Empoleon and Zapdos haven't even clicked a move yet. Alright, so he finally brings in the Zapdos. And obviously, Zapdos, it does learn Blaze Kick, so it could, in theory, be able to one-shot a Fortress probably. But as we can see, No Idea switches into Arcanine. It must be able to 2-hit KO Arcanine with Brave Bird to do any meaningful damage, and then obviously it can't really do that much damage to Zygarde. It's gonna get one-shotted by Raikou if it isn't able to one-hit KO it first, and it's gonna be slower. So yeah, let's see what he does. Alright, so he sets up an agility on the switch. So yeah, I mean, seems like a nice plan for a late game sweep, so now at least the Raikou can't revenge kill it before taking a hit himself. But you would still have to carry the Blaze Kick at the very least, because you can't one-hit KO a Florges from 52% with Zapdos. And he has to have something to really hit the Arcanine hard, so something like, I don't know, does it get Stomping Tantrum? Yeah, I mean, Brave Bird would still, and Close Combat would still be the stronger moves, but yeah, so, but At this point, Keto really is got his back against the wall, and as you can see, I think that's what I tried to illustrate here is he didn't really do anything wrong. He told me he thought he played so badly, but he really didn't. It was just the architecture of the game after these first couple of turns. He didn't really have any options. What I mean, whenever Raikou came in, he was just gonna volt switch. Fortress just hard walls his physical offense, apart from maybe the Zapdos. He has these lure sets that are supposed to catch Florges off guard, and once Florges is gone, you haven't really gained anything. So there is not that much he could have done, I don't think, or could do. I mean, alright, so he reveals that he is indeed packing the Stomping Tantrum to hit Arcanine, but which is good, which would mean that he is able to 2-hit KO it, but only because Arcanine doesn't pack Intimidate. Keep that in mind, but Arcanine does pack the Will-O-Wisp, and that means, yeah, he's gonna get worn down by both Life Orb and the Burn, and now that obviously he's burned, he can't really do any more damage to the Arcanine, and Arcanine is likely packing Recovery, which no idea reveals right here. So now this Arcanine is back at full, Zapdos is burned, neutralized as a threat, which, yeah, this just means that this game is slipping away further and further from Keto. So now, on the Empoleon, No Ideas hard switches into Raikou, which is obviously he can do because Raikou is very specially bulky, and he takes 25% from an Ice Beam, which was another prediction. So Keto, I mean, obviously predicted the switch out because Ice Beam on Arcanine doesn't make any sense. He probably was hoping to maybe catch off the Zygarde off guard, which I guess is possible. But yeah, I think Raikou was the more logical switch in which case Scald would have done more damage. But he now gets the freeze, which forces No Idea to click Scalds once to thaw himself out, which on the other hand means that Keto gets to knock off the item, which is revealed to be an expert belt, which isn't that surprising, I think, seeing how the game went. This just makes, in my eyes, makes it even more likely that Keto was a Scarf Sarina and didn't have any answers to Raikou from the start, I don't think. Alright, No Idea clicking the Thunderbolt, which is a smart play because he doesn't really need to volt switch around anymore, because Keto can't switch in anything on the Raikou to check it really. And now he goes into Zapdos again, which I think wasn't really necessary for No Idea to volt switch with the Raikou, because obviously he would outspeed both Sylveon and Zapdos once they come back in, and if the Serena comes in, it really is no threat whatsoever. It's gonna come in at 6%. It has to click a contact move because I don't think it learns any non-contact moves. He can switch into Fortress just to make it kill itself, and then at that point you only have a physical Sylveon left which can't touch both Arcanine and Fortress at all. I mean, he could obviously still be mixed with Mystical Fire, so he could at least touch the Fortress, but he definitely can't touch the Arcanine whatsoever anymore. So yeah, it's really, at this point it's game, absolutely game. Nothing Keto could have done, in my opinion. So you can definitely comment for me if you think that I overlooked anything. Alright, now he switches out the No Idea switched into Zygarde on the burned Zapdos to set up a coil. So it reveals to be a coil Zygarde, which is cool, obviously. He probably was trying to show it off. Maybe he has extreme speed to kill the Serena now. Seeing as Keto switches into the Serena makes me think that he's probably running triple Axel again, which he did before. Would make sense, obviously, to check the Zygarde. I think it probably wouldn't check a Dragon Dance variant, because obviously after a Dragon Dance it would outspeed even a Scarfed Serena, and I think a Scarfed Serena would probably get knocked out by an Outrage. I would assume, at least. Alright, Triple Axel, now that he's got the coil boost, he's even able to lift the Triple Axel, and he reveals a berry, and he reveals to be Scale Shot Coil, which is interesting. So you get the attack boost from coil and then the speed boost from Scale Shot. Huh. Doesn't that just mean that you take 2 turns to just set up a Dragon Dance? Huh. I'm not sure. Not sure about that set, to be honest. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, definitely cool. I love Coil Zygarde. At this point, it's really just academic, so it doesn't make a difference anymore. Keto switches into Sylveon, reveals that he's packing the Quick Attack, which is cool. Obviously, it means that he gets another kill, which otherwise he really wouldn't have. This would have been a clear 4-0 because both the Zapdos and the Sylveon obviously can't touch the Arcanine anymore, but yep. That's what happens, and yeah, now it's really GG. He switches Zapdos into the Stealth Rocks to be able to switch up moves with the Sylveon. So let's see what Sylveon's best move to hit Arcanine is. It's Body Slam, doing a hefty 9% and taking 16% plus 6% from the burn just for attacking. So yeah, as you can see, you could see very early in this match that the architecture of how it was built, this matchup, was really heavily in No Idea's favor. It was really, there weren't any special plays required on No Idea's part, and Keto really didn't have the tools to break his team, honestly. I think the only chance he had was maybe with the Zapdos, but only, yeah, once he got rid of Florges, which if you were, let's say he had Blaze Kick for Fortress, and yeah, that would be the only thing that could really threaten No Idea, but only if Arcanine misses a Will-O-Wisp on it. So yeah, you can't really see it. The Serena couldn't break the defense of Arcanine. Yeah, Sylveon definitely couldn't do it. Empoleon, very doubtful, very doubtful. Was always gonna get not walled. It would have to wear down the Raikou first, which I don't really see how he gets a hit off on Raikou. So yeah, as you can see, this was an interesting match with some very interesting sets on Keto's part, which definitely caught No Idea off guard. But yeah, it feels a little bit like just trolling for the sake of trolling, you know? He didn't really gain anything from catching Florges off guard, and he lost his electric immunity by catching the Mega Medicham off guard, which, don't get me wrong, getting rid of the Medicham that way was definitely very cool for him and very important because he didn't have a switch in for Medicham. So yeah, this was my coverage of Keto versus No Idea. Let me know in the comments if you think I overlooked anything, or if I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe Keto and No Idea can also comment and let us know what their plans were and what their thoughts on it are. So guys, with this, I'm gonna close this recording. See you guys in the next one.